anyone ever seen this book or heard of this book? It's called Zoom. And the illustrator is Istvan Banye. And this book is really kind of cool because it's all illustrations, but the way it works is he has literally created a huge portrait but broke it down into little pieces. What do I mean? He started with, for example, well, he started with the corner of something and made it a picture. And then he drew it out bigger and made it a picture. So it was one picture zooming out and getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So by the time you get to the end of the book, you don't recognize how the book began. Does that make sense? Did I explain that well? So what we're going to do is we are going to break the barrier of fear this morning of working with people we don't know, working with people we probably don't like, and doing a little project. And basically what we're going to do is I need 31 of you. So I want to grab the students first and any other staff that can fill in the gap. But this book is laid out. I ripped the pages out of it and I mixed them up. I need 31 of you to come up here and take one sheet. Don't look at it yet. And put it down in front of you, because basically on this other side is a photograph. And then we're going to time you to see how long it takes. You have to work as a team to put these images together, starting with the first one right here, and put the next one in order, and go along just like this, until you see the succession of how the Zoom picture plays out. Is everybody on the same page with me? Does that make sense? You are not allowed to talk. Nobody is to talk. You have to use your body language. You have to speak to people with your body and kind of nudge them and tell them, no, that's not right. This goes like this. And you'll see what I mean as the picture progresses. But we're going to time. I'm sorry, I didn't even bother to clean it up. We're going to see how long it takes, but what I'm going to observe and I think is really interesting is how you interact with people and what kind of barriers break down. And you can see that in people's body language with their face and how they move. If you smile, if you nudge, or what it's all about. So, you guys ready to do something like this? Yeah. All right, I need all of you, just take any one, it doesn't matter. Let's start with the students. Don't look at it yet though, okay? And just take your seat. And then I'm going to do something obnoxious after that. So now remember, you've got to work with people because you do it all every day and all your life, no matter what you're doing, whether you're in a job or you're with people. You got to work with people and you got to establish trust. So now at this point, what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and turn them over, no talking, and this is your work table. So you got to figure it out, and it's all up to you what the first picture is and what comes next and what comes next and what comes next. So y'all better start working together, no speaking. I will enjoy your silence. You done?
Time.
That's it? 6.5 minutes, guys. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. All right, let's take a step back and let's look at the order of them. I have them up here. You can, if you want, you can either take your seats again, because I'm gonna, yeah, you want to do that? It was really interesting looking at you because I instantly saw leadership roles. There was one right here. Ken had a leadership role. Saw some frustration, a little bit of frustration. It's hard when you can't talk. Let me ask some of you, let me ask you, what was it like trying to do this and not talking? What was frustrating? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it?
I like to see people take initiative and be expressive so that everyone could understand. Obviously, we weren't using any language, so it was like had to do with the body language.
Yeah.
The frustrating part was the lack of communication, or if someone checked out or something and there was like a breakdown.
Did you find
that deep in 6 minutes?
Yeah, I know, that's pretty deep, right? You kind of took a leadership role.
I don't know. I didn't see it as a leadership role, really. Really, I got focused in on my man over here somewhere, I don't know. But as soon as he walked by, he saw like part of the rooster, so I just kind of followed in with him, really. And we found the other rooster pictures or whatnot. And I'm still confused as to which way it goes. So, you know.
We'll put that together. We'll take a look. Sure. Do you realize that in everyday life, you do things like this with a team and you put resistance into it? Would you agree with that? You resist what other people suggest. And the reason I didn't have you talk is because actions speak so much louder than words. And your body language spoke very, very loudly. It's frustrating because there's 31 pieces here, which means there's 31 people putting it together, which means that's one team that all has to agree on the same thing. And when you can't talk, you can't say to someone, no, that doesn't make sense. No, that's not right. How about you? Was this difficult for you?
I couldn't get to the table.
That's another thing is, how do you communicate that you all just converged and you didn't give anybody space? That's a natural instinct for people just to get up in there. Yeah, I told you to do it. But part of the project was, what can you do to make it easier to make it work? Because yes, you were all standing around the table, but no one was able to communicate, hey, let's half of us step back and half of us work together. Let all those with reds stand over here, or all those with yellows. And how can you communicate that when you can't talk? Your body language speaks volumes. And when you emit fear or anger or frustration, it's very obvious. Nothing wrong with that, but it's very obvious. Keep that in mind because you do it in front of people all the time. People can read you. They know what you're saying. Let me ask somebody else. Let me ask you, was it frustrating for you? Were people working with you?
I just put down my picture and kind of stepped back. I wasn't quite sure which direction everything was going in. Once you stepped away from the table, it was kind of hard to get back into it.
What happened to your picture after that? Did you set it because you didn't want to deal with it?
Well, there was already a few pictures in line, and nobody at that point was really quite sure of where. I just knew those 3 pictures went together. Other than that, I really didn't know where the rest of the project was headed. Couldn't really see all the pictures.
Yeah.
So if they were already on a table all mixed up where you can start making a path, it might have been helpful, but at that point it was still too spread out.
Did anybody move any series of pictures that were already set down? Who did? How come?
Partially, well, one set was because there were 3 reasons. One was because someone next to me, I don't even know who was next to me because I just watched hands pointing. So when I saw someone point, I noticed that, yes, there was a section at one end of the table that should have been at the other end. Another reason was because someone held up a picture that had the boat on it, and then I saw the other pictures that were larger pictures of the boat, or more zoned in pictures of the boat. So that was moved, and then the other one was because I just noticed that there were some pictures that were there were 3 pictures that were just hanging out that didn't make sense. They were just off by themselves, and they didn't make sense. They were just there. And then finally we realized they should be at the end.
Was anybody offended when their picture was moved? No big deal, right? Who cares? Anybody have a suggestion as to how you could tackle that in a much tamer way so there isn't that convergence?
I just want to say, the woman that just spoke, I think she really did a great job at the end to kind of organize everything, to kind of put it all together. I mean, after a while, it's kind of like the momentum was set once the pictures came together. There was in series of 4, it seems, to make one scene, I believe. And she was like just talking about how, she started moving the pictures around and kind of, the momentum was started, but then she kind of just like...
She took a leadership role.
Brought it home. Yeah, yeah. So that's not a suggestion, but I just want...
No, but you know what, that's a good point, because I'm pretty sure in watching you all that you all accepted each other's role. Am I wrong? So how come you don't accept other people's role outside of this room?
I was just wondering if there was a hierarchy, if we had gone into that with a known hierarchy of, say, if this was in the workplace and we had this senior person and we then came at it with this one person being known as the senior leader.
And you found that leader, I think, in the end, like what he was just talking about, possibly with this young lady in the back. When you have a situation like that, where someone just throws you into it, we're human. We converge. But what happened, and it did happen here, is people did step back, other people stepped forward, some people took leadership roles, others organized things. That's how the workplace flows. The nice part was, the reason we didn't communicate is because I wanted to see all of your cues without you speaking. I heard some whispers too. It's tough. It's tough to not actually talk. But if you can do this here and be really cool with the way everybody's working and maybe not judge them and the way they're doing things, you can do that in the workplace. That's what a team is all about. The problem is we have a fear of opening our mouth and saying something about it. And there are people that have natural leadership roles. They're born with them. And the trick is using that leadership role and not abusing it. Using that leadership role to show that you and I and you, we're all the same. We're all on the same level. Because the second you get somebody in there that thinks they're up here on that hierarchy, everything will crumble. I've done this before, and I had a group, they got pretty aggressive about it. And they were adults and they got pretty aggressive, and there were some angry people. And when they sat down, they kind of carried that anger with them, and they sat down with them. And I thought, it's just a book. Really, that's all it is. This is such a perfect example of how simple things can really be when you get together and you work as a team and you work with people you don't know. It's kind of frightening to work with people you don't know sometimes because you don't know them. You don't know what they're about.
Sometimes it's easier though because the people that you do know, you know what their triggers are. So you kind of try to stay away from the activation of those triggers.
That's a good point.
Whereas when you're with someone new, you really are on equal basis.
Is there anyone here that would be willing to admit that maybe they didn't want to be a part of this and just set it down and step back? Anyone that would let someone else do the work? How come?
Just a lot of hands, and it gets kind of frustrating not being able to talk. The only time I really chimed in is when I saw two pictures were separated. Just one of the small pictures had the picture of a boat on it, and they were split up. And that, it was getting done. And
I don't think that's a bad thing. Would anybody disagree or agree with me? I think that's okay, because you pulled out of the mix, because again, you were all kind of converging all together. Well, you got it done. What, if anybody takes anything from this, what would it be? I know it's just a bunch of pictures laid out that you organized. What can you take from this that is of value?
Step back and look at the bigger picture.
Yes.
That's exactly it. And it's tough to remember when you go out there and you're working with other people and you're around other people that everybody has ideas. Everybody wants to talk. Everybody wants to share. And sometimes you get those people that are a little rough on the edges. But remember, don't take it personal. It's so hard to not take things personally, isn't it? Because you really feel like they're directed to you. They're not directed to you. When people express their anger or their unhappiness with you, it truly has something to do with them. And if it hasn't clicked with you yet, it's gonna. And when it does, my God, is life going to be a heck of a lot easier for you. Because when people's reactions are like that to you, it's something going on with them. And when you can remember that, you can step into a team like this and you can make it work. There's nothing like a kindred spirit. Working with people and understanding who they are, accepting who they are just as they are, trying really hard not to judge them for what they have or how they look or what they do. We are all one. That's what people forget. We look at ourselves as individuals. We're not individuals. We keep ourselves closed. We don't talk to our neighbors sometimes. We don't bother to say hello to people. You want to do something? Choose a day, make it the rest of the day, make it a day where you're out in the public and you're talking. Say hello to people and nod and smile at them, all of them. Watch how many don't respond. I used to take it personally. Now I'm more amused. And I don't mean in a negative way. I just mean, God, you've got a long way to go. They haven't woken up yet. Remember that you're all one and keep that in mind and just do it. Hold the door for somebody, say hello and smile. You'll get snide remarks. You'll get the negative looks and things like that.
I do that every day.
And you get more negative than
Positive, but that's okay.
Yeah, it is okay.
I get 1 ounce of positive, I'm good for the day.
That's all. If your energy stays positive, don't let other people knock you out. Don't let other people dip from your bucket. It's your bucket. Fill it with whatever you want. It's your deal. If you walk around negative and angry, you're going to get it in return. I used to work with a girl that was like this. She was a reporter. I don't know how that happened. But she worked night side, so she worked 2 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night. And she would come in, her name is Kat, and she'd waddle in with her Dunkin' Donuts coffee. It was a chilled iced cappuccino, by the way. And her desk was across from me, and she set that coffee down. And I'd always say, hey, Kat, how's it going? I don't know. We'll see as the day progresses. That's what she'd say. And I kind of left it alone. I wouldn't touch it because that's negative energy. And if I mingle with that negative energy, I'm going to pick up on that negative energy. And then I'm going to carry that energy to other people. And that's not fair. And I am not interested in it because I have better things to do. But I let her do and get angry and do whatever. So she gets her assignment. And every time she goes on her assignment, and I'm not kidding, something would almost inevitably go wrong. It would be wintertime, the mast would freeze in the live truck. The microphone, the battery would die, and there wouldn't be any other batteries. The camera would die, and the photographer didn't bother to grab any other batteries. It was always something, almost always. So one time she's assigned to cover a school board meeting, and it was a hot button issue with one of the members of the school board. I don't remember the details now. But what happened is there was a fire. That's what it was. There was a fire in the building. And she was so hell-bent on getting the story on this person that was getting all this controversy, this negative person, that she was so mad when the fire broke out because now she had no story. Really? The place is on fire. She was so wrapped up in her negativity, she missed it completely. She gets back to the station and they say, did you get video? Did you get the story? And she went, no. She never did, but sure enough, at 11 o'clock, Channel 3, Channel 5, and Channel 9 had that fire, but she didn't. So the next day she walks in with her iced coffee, said, hi, Kat, how you doing? Not good. Well, no kidding. She lived in that negativity. And if you give it, you're going to get it. How many people believe that? It's true. And if you're skeptical about it, play with it, because I used to be. And believe me when I tell you, I wouldn't stand here and talk to you people about it if I didn't believe it. If it isn't life-changing, I wouldn't bother. Really, why would I? Have I got nothing better to do? It's because it's true. And if there's negative people in your life, it's going to bring you down. If there's positive people in your life and you surround yourself with them, things are going to change. There's people out there that really believe that life is an entity coming after you. And I bet you there's 2 or 3 of you in here now that believe that. God, life sucks. Life, it's always nothing ever goes right. Life is not a demon entity chasing you down. There will be people around you and circumstances that suck because that's just how it is. When we were talking about self-sabotage earlier, if anyone in here has ever experienced addiction, I will never judge you because I know exactly what it's like to be trapped in it. And there's all sorts of addictions. Yes, there's alcohol, there's drugs, there's food. There's people that eat chalk. Do you ever see that show? It's like weird, strange addictions. And we may want to judge that, but we hide in those addictions because that's where we feel safe. Never judge somebody with an addiction because there's fear there. And never turn away from people that have that fear. And you can sense it. You know when you're sitting next to somebody or you're talking to somebody, there's fear. I was just in Wegmans like 2 days ago, grocery shopping, and stopped to eat. Yeah, you have Wegmans here. And they have all that wonderful prepared food. I love it. Stopped, got myself some food, and there was this woman not that far from me, and she's on her cell phone, and she's very emotional and angry, and she's almost yelling but trying not to at somebody. And when she hung up, of course, I don't want to stare at her, but I tried to look at her. I saw so much pain in that woman's face, and I wondered, what's going on? You know, it's a bigger picture than you and I could ever imagine. And if we try to judge it for a minute, that's not fair. It's simply not fair. So try to take a step back in any situation that you're in, which is an excellent move, and look at the situation, look at the big picture, before you judge and before you take any steps. That's really the only way you can get excited about life. It's not meant to exist, it's meant to live. And I guess that's it. So thank you so much for your time, you guys. I appreciate it. Nice job.